Hi everyone. So let me put music in the background real quick. Hold on. Hi. So today I really wanted to talk about all the books that I read in the month of November. Now that we're in December, we're entering that Christmas season. All the book girlies and like the makeup girlies are doing their Christmas videos, their bookmas, their vlogmas and stuff. I'm not doing Vlogmas because I'm new and I don't really know how to do Vlogmas. I feel like filming content every single day would just be exhausting, especially when I'm just trying to do this for fun. I'm not like trying to make this like my profession or anything. If it becomes my profession, that would be great, but I don't think that that's exactly what I dream of, what I want. I'm basically just doing this for fun. Also, I'm doing this because like I have like the worst memory ever. Instead of on top of like mostly using filler words, I also have the worst memory ever. And I feel like having video diaries of the things that I've read can really be helpful to me in the future. When I forget things, I can just go back and like relive how I felt about those books. I think it's fun and exciting, so that's just kind of what this is. But today I wanted to talk about the books that I read in November. I believe, let me check the stats. I read about 5 to 6 books this November. My issue is one of them is a reread. I did reread this book. I reread this book like a lot. Like I've reread this book, I believe, twice this year, and I actually read it for the first time this year. I did indeed read 6 books. So I read The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness. I read Hecate by Nikita Gill. I read Cassandra Clare's Sword Catcher. And I also read, I believe, like the last Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I also read An Education of a Governess, I believe it's called. We're just gonna go over it together. It's fine. We're gonna start with the very first one that I read. The very first one that I read this month of November, was actually Hecate by Nikita Gill. I don't remember exactly what I rated it, but I do remember that it was a very magical read. Like the entire time that you're reading it, you feel like you're with Hecate. You feel like you're accompanying her through this journey of her losing her parents and getting to know all of these other gods, and the fact that she's a titaness, and it's during the time of the war between the Olympians and the Titans. So it's very nice to really follow her through that and get to see how her relationship evolves with some of the other gods of the underworld. And obviously this is a fiction. This is a mythology. This is a retelling. It's not like exactly Hecate's story. So if you're reading it thinking that it's going to be Hecate's story, it's not. It's a fiction. I rated it 5 stars, so that's good. The reason I rated it 5 stars was because, one, I really enjoyed the reading experience. Like I said, it was very magical, and also it's really hard to forget this book. Like there are parts of it that I've definitely forgotten. I don't remember like the entire book from like beginning to end, but there are other parts of it that stick with me. So her relationship with the Natos is something that I think about like almost every day, and it was so personal and so close, and I loved seeing the friendship between her and Hermes, how she at first didn't trust him, and which is valid. You really you shouldn't trust a trickster god, but the way that he proved himself to her was very nice too. It was so nice to see how the relationships were with Hecate and the other gods, and I really, really enjoyed it. I would describe it as action-packed and very memorable, very original. I don't think that I've read a story like this before, so I really, really liked that. After Hecate, I think that the very next book that I read was actually The Blackbird Oracle. I don't have physical books for Hecate. I do have The Blackbird Oracle, like the physical edition, but I don't know where it is. It's currently lost. It's not on any of my bookshelves or like my book wall or anything, so I have to find that. But I do have it. I do not have Hecate or An Education of a Governess, but I do have The Blackbird Oracle. Like, I have the physical copy. Well, let's talk about it for a second. This book, I was really looking forward to reading this book. This book came out a while ago. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it came out a while ago, and I really, really, really was looking forward to it because I'm a big fan of Deborah Harkness. I enjoyed A Discovery of Witches, the entire trilogy. I own the entire trilogy. I love it. I reread it. I'm obsessed with it. The floppiness of the book. Ugh, everything, everything. I even loved the show so much to the point where I've rewatched the show 3 times. Is it exactly like the books? Not really, but like who cares? It was really, really good. Let's not get started on that one. It was so good to the point that like I even had to put my boyfriend onto the show. Like I told my boyfriend we have to watch the show together. Like you have to see it. It's so good. We have not finished it. He's still in season 1. We have ADHD, so we get distracted. But back to the book, back to the Blackbird Oracle. I have very complex feelings about this book, and I think that it's because I already have such an attachment to the characters from reading the trilogy of A Discovery of Witches. I was invested because this book is about the children. So, a little synopsis, a little background. In this book, the main characters, Diana, they're married, so they now have children, and they're now trying to figure out and navigate a world where their children are going to be a part of the order. You know, like they don't know, since they both have magical powers like a witch and they're also vampires, how the other creatures are going to accept them or welcome them into the world. Because remember that in the trilogy, if you read the trilogy, also spoiler alert, I guess I probably should have said spoiler alert earlier, but if you read the very first book, you could tell that they're gonna get married. They're not very accepted. So it was interesting to see the journey. The thing about Deborah Harkness is that when you read her book, you never know what kind of twists and turns it's gonna go through. Because like I was reading the book and every 5 minutes something new was happening, and it was just there's so much that happens in these books, so you really gotta stay with her, okay? And you really gotta trust her through the entire process, because most of the time with a novel of hers there will be payoff. This time, however, for me personally, the payoff wasn't all there. Maybe it's because I'm not the biggest fan of like children, to be honest, but the kids were funny. They were kids. I think the relationship between Matthew and Diana just wasn't it for me. It did not hit. I didn't feel them as close as I did during the trilogy, which is weird because I feel like they would be closer now given the fact that they had children, but they didn't feel as close. They didn't feel as together. I did rate this book 3.5 stars. The reason was it was a really good read. Like I enjoyed my time. I think that it was because I was already attached to the characters. I already really, really loved them. So visiting them again and seeing what they were up to and seeing what they were doing really, really made the experience enjoyable for me. It wasn't what I dreamed of. Yeah, I think that, and this might be entirely my fault, I think that I was looking forward to this book so much that it really just plummeted. I even like put off reading the book because I didn't want to let go of that world, and I felt like if I read the book, it was gonna be a conclusion and I was gonna have to just let go. It's not a conclusion. Spoiler alert again. There's a cliffhanger at the very end of the book, and it feels like there's gonna be another one coming. I did some research and it seems like there's no other book coming. So, Miss Deborah, if you could explain that. Maybe I didn't do my research. Maybe I should do my research again. I did do my research. So I don't know. It ended on a cliffhanger. It seems like there's gonna be another book coming. I don't know if I'm personally gonna watch it. I don't watch it. Read it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna read it just because this one was 3.5, and I think I'd rather just leave the characters where they were at the end of the trilogy. I don't think that I'm not gonna lie, I might cave, just buy the book and just read it anyway, because Deborah really, you know, she did her thing with that trilogy and those characters, and you really just fall in love and you don't want to let go. But this book was not a hit for me. It was fine. It was an enjoyable experience, but it was not what I signed up for. It's not my typical experience reading a Deborah Harkness book. Like I literally sit there sometimes when I first read her trilogy, I sat there for like days and I just like felt it and I just like consumed it and like just really let it settle into my bones. With this one, I just needed a palate cleanser so bad that I picked up another book. The book that I picked up was actually Swordcatcher. I had to reread Swordcatcher because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. Speaking of which, let's just talk about that one right now. Swordcatcher. Right after the Blackbird Oracle, which, just so that y'all don't hyper focus on that. Right after the Blackbird Oracle, I started reading Swordcatcher again. I've read this book so many times. And I first discovered this book this year. I know that she released it last year or the year before, and I bought it when it came out, but I just never read it, mostly because it looked a bit intimidating, and also Cassandra Clare writes so much. Like, she writes so good, but she also writes so much. Like, Shadowhunters has been going on since I was 3, okay? Why are there like 2,700 books? I read the first few and then I just stopped reading because I couldn't keep going. I could not. I do love Cassandra Clare, don't get me wrong. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. I will never replace her with anybody else. But I just can't keep going with Shadowhunters. But I had to have faith in her. You know, that's my girl. Okay? So I did read this and it was amazing. So much that I've read it 3 times this year. I actually want to read it again. Probably going to read it again. But I think that I'm not going to talk too much about this book specifically or the plot because I want to do a video on the Swordcatcher and Ragpicker King because that is my favorite series of all time. Granted, it's only 2 books, but yet it is my absolute favorite series of all time. The only series that can come close to this one would be An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. That series is completed and it is amazing and I love it and it made me cry and it was emotional. But this one, I just cannot let them go. Like, I want to visit them all the time. I want to see them all the time. I dream and think about them all the time. So I think that I'm actually going to do a video on the Swordcatcher series. Or the series of Castellane, the Tales of Castellane. But just now, this was really, really good. A short synopsis I guess I could give is that this is a story following 3 characters. It follows Connor, and it follows Lynn, and it also follows, I think, Kel. Yeah, so Lynn, Kel, and Connor. And Connor is the Prince of Castellane. Kel is kind of recruited to be his sword catcher, which is kind of like his doppelganger. So like places where they deem unsafe for Connor, Kel will go in his stead. I think it's because they look very, very similar. So like Kel can just pass off as Connor to the people, and you get to see, 1, how that happened, and 2, you get to kind of see how their relationship developed and evolved when they became adults. When they became adults, they're just really, really close, and you get to see how they really rely on each other. They are a unit, they're a team, and the more and more you read it, the more it really feels like it's Connor and Kel against the world, because the way that those two love each other, it's really promoted as a romance, because Lynn does fall in love with one of the characters, and Connor also falls in love with one of the, like, they all fall in love with different members in the book. But I think that more than just a romance, it's more talking about familiar love. It talks more about found family, because we all know Cassandra is the queen of found family, okay? The Shadowhunters is nothing but finding family. And you really, really feel that in this book. Like, you can feel families forming. You can feel the lifelong bond. You could feel the way that they would really give their lives for one another. And I think that everybody should read this book, because it's a political fantasy, so it's not action heavy. It's more, you get to really see what goes on in a court. You get to really see what goes on between kingdoms. I really like that. I really love political fantasies. I love it when they stay in the court and they're telling me the laws and the rules and stuff. Action, not much. There's not much action. So if you're an action girly, this will not be for you. But if you want to try something new, if you want to try a fantasy that is less action, more politics, this is definitely the way to go. This is a very great way of living that world without getting bored. I'll go without saying that I rated this book 5 stars the first time that I read it. At the beginning of this year, actually. I read it for the first time at the beginning of this year. So 5 stars, obviously. The very next book that I read after that was The Lost Apothecary. Isn't this beautiful? This is like the special edition. My boyfriend got me this one, which is why I was really eager to read it. He was also very eager for me to read it because he loves when I read stories and I just tell him all about it. But he picked this one out for me. This is The Lost Apothecary. I rated this one 5 stars. If you have it on your bookshelves, go read that right now. Go grab it. Don't even think about it. Skip this review. Go read it right now because this book made me cry. It made me feel it. If you're a person who loves women, like loves seeing women win, loves seeing women thrive, okay, and loves seeing women get even, this is the one. This is that book for you. This is that girl, okay? In this book, we really follow, what are their names? I'm not gonna lie to you. We follow Caroline and Nella, and a little girl named Eliza. So we follow 3 different women in this story, and we get to see it's like 2 different timelines, okay? There's a timeline that's like in the current, like right now, and then there's another timeline of like the 1700s or like the 1800s. Caroline is the present timeline, and she's this reporter. Well, she wants to be a historian. She's not really a reporter. She's a historian. But she's kind of in a marriage, trapped in a marriage right now. And there's this thing that happens between them. There's a little bit of conflict. And so she runs off to London to follow her dream and like really get to know herself in a way. She doesn't go to follow her dream, but she ends up following her dream when she's there. So as she's walking around, she's getting to know London. She remembers all these feelings that she had growing up and going to college and wanting to be a historian. And everybody in her family and everybody in her life just kind of shot that idea down for her. And she never got to really do that. Instead, she got married and she domesticated herself, I guess. In here, you get to see her break free of that, and you get to see her do that while getting to know the stories of women that came before her. She stumbles across this apothecary, and she just gets so invested in who used to own it and what happened there. And newsflash, it was Miss Nella herself who owned the Lost Apothecary. It was her mother's shop, and when her mother died, she took over. In this shop is where she met little 12-year-old Eliza, and that's where our story begins. Our story begins with Eliza and Nella meeting, and Caroline discovering what happened between Eliza and Nella, and it's really, really good. The payoff on reading this book is genuinely so good because it's kind of a short read. It doesn't look like a short read. It's only like under 300 pages, so like you could probably knock this out in like 1 or 2 days. It's very emotional, so if you want an emotional read, this is the one, okay? It makes you cry. It really does make you cry. It makes you find hope again. It's amazing. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, 5 stars. Definitely read it if you love women. Definitely read it if you love to cry. Definitely read it if you love magic. If you love just mixing stuff in your kitchen and just coming up with random shit. Read this. This is so good. This book that I read was actually The Education of a Governess. I did rate this book 3 stars. Let me explain why. This is a very short story. This is a short story about a governess who falls in love with the lord of the house. And him and his wife are not very close. You know, it's kind of like a marriage that's like very arranged. And you kind of just see in her head all the things that he does for her and all the things that she like likes about him. And it's just smut. Honestly, if you want me to be honest, it's 100 and something pages of smut. It's really good, okay? If you like slow burn, this is not for you. If you like a plot, this is not for you. If you like a long driven romance, this is not for you. This is very much, I saw her, she's pretty, let's bang. And this is very much, oh my god, he's so amazing, let's bang. That's literally what this is. If you just want like a nice, short, dirty, smutty book, this is definitely for you. The reason I rated it 3 stars was because it wasn't a terrible read. It was a great read. It was very enjoyable for what it is. I'm not gonna give it 5 stars because obviously the writing in it isn't everything that I would want it to be and more. It's very lackluster, but for what it is as a smut book, as just like the dirtiest book you could read, pretty good, you know? I wouldn't recommend it to my dark romance girlies, okay? What you read is filthier than this. But this is good. If you like smut, but you don't like that dark, intense smut, this could be yours, you know? This should be yours, okay? I believe that it was like 80 cents on Kindle, or it might even be Kindle Unlimited. I remember paying for this, but this is definitely a book that I got. I either paid 80 cents for this, or hear me out, I might have gotten this on a Stuff Your Kindle day. I'm obsessed with Stuff Your Kindle days. Like, my calendar is full of every single one that is for the year. So this might have been one of the ones that I got there. I finally read one, and 3 stars. You know, smut, dirty, sexy. It's great. It's amazing. The very last book that I read in the month of November was actually a Poetic Pox. Now, I don't have the physical book, so give me just a second. I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the Poetic Pox by Samantha Larson. I'm going to tell you something. I love this trilogy. This series is really good. Samantha Larson really did her thing. This is a historical mystery, okay? It's a very cozy mystery. I read the first 2 books earlier in the year, and I really, really fell in love with her writing. Like, she's funny, she's witty, she's really, really good. If you want a book that will not consume you, but make you feel alive again, in a way. You know how some fantasy books, like, they make you just feel so alive? This will make you feel alive again. Not because it's so magical and fantastical, but because it is funny. It's actually funny, and you'll laugh, and it'll remind you that you have feelings. And the mystery part of it is actually really good too. The plot twists are never what you think they're gonna be, and I remember being shocked at the end of this book. Like, I did not think that she was going to do that she was going to pull that move, but she totally did. In A Poetic Pox, we follow our main character. Jesus, I always forget the names of the main characters. I know that it's, like, you should not forget the names of the main characters, but I always do for every book. I don't know what happens. Tiffany Lathrop. That's her name. Okay. So we follow Tiffany. Tiffany is recently married. She married the detective of her town. This takes place in like 1786, so like the 1700s. So like very much... Oh, you don't know why it's taboo. I forgot to tell you. So basically, who Tiffany marries is actually a brown man. And they're all kind of like not okay with this in other towns, but they are okay with it in her town because they all really, really love him, and she really, really loves him, and they all fall in love, and it's really, really great. In this book, she married him, I believe, the book before. A spoiler if you've never read the series, but they got married the book before, and she is following her friend Catherine, which is a duchess, to another town. Her friend Catherine receives a letter that says that the father of her child is dying, and he would like to visit. He would like to see his child for the first time for him to inherit everything that is his. So they travel to this other town where her old lover is, and they discover that he's not the only one dying. There is another person that had just recently died who was his assistant. So now they have to solve the murder of his assistant. They have to figure out, like, why did he die? Who tried to kill him? What would have been the motive? How, like, what is the issue? Here, though, she's not with her husband. Her husband is away on a business trip, so she has to solve this one by herself, which the previous one she also did solve by herself, but this one she actually does have to solve by herself. And then she doesn't end up calling her husband for reinforcements until later on. She doesn't even call him. He just shows up, and he's like, I just missed my wife, you know, like, I came home because I missed my wife. So they're a really, really good couple. You really get to follow them. You also get to know a lot more about Catherine. In the previous books, you just kind of see her as like a duchess, and her relationship with Tiffany is very beautiful because she really does love Tiffany, and she really does appreciate everything that Tiffany does. But you kind of just don't get to know much about Catherine. You don't get to know much about her previous life or who she was before she was a duchess. So here you do get to see that. You do get to learn a lot about Catherine and who she was before being a duchess, and the life that she, you know, wanted, and versus the life that she has. And I really, really like that. I did rate this 5 stars. I will not argue about it. it was definitely 5 stars. I don't care if it was because I love the characters and I love this world, but it was 100% a 5-star read for me. I'm absolutely obsessed. And if you have not read anything by Sarah Larson yet, I do recommend that you do read her books because her books are really, really, really good. Her very first book, I believe, was a novel in disguise. That was the very first book that like got me into the series. It's the very first book in the series. And you end up really falling in love with Tiffany and how strong she is and how much of an independent woman she strives to be in the 1700s world. And I think that it's definitely worth a read. You should definitely check out this series. Samantha Larson is slowly but surely becoming one of my new favorite authors. I have so many favorite authors, probably like 7 of them, and she is 100% one of them. I do think that everyone should check out her books. It's good to have a little palate cleanse, and this is definitely good. This is a good one. So yeah, I think that that's it. I think that those are the only books that I read this November. I did start reading, I will say, I did start reading Heavenly Bodies. I did start reading Heavenly Bodies last month. I did not finish it last month. I will say that I did finish this 2 nights ago. I did finish Heavenly Bodies, but since I did finish it in December, it will be in what I read in December. But I did want to talk a little bit about it because I did finish it. I posted a video of me talking about how I did not like Enzo, and I want to say that I kind of stuck to my guns. You know, I was a little strong up until like maybe this point, up until like, I don't know, page something. There was a page that like I finally reached that page. I think it was like 160 something, 169 or something like that. Yeah, 170. It took me, I'm sorry you didn't see that, but it took me up until page 170 to actually like Enzo. That's when I fell in love with him, and that's when I realized why everybody else loved him. I will not cover this book in this review. I will cover it in the next review, or I might even do a video about it on its own, given the fact that I am officially intrigued about reading Fallen Stars after finishing this one. It's definitely a cliffhanger. I heard that Fallen Stars is a lot better. It does seem more up my alley because there's something, I've heard rumors. I don't really know what we're doing, but she's traveling on like the seas or something now in this one, in Fallen Stars, and I'm very much, I love a good story that takes place in the sea. Okay, I read Fable and Namesake, and those were so freaking good. I fell in love with that. That was amazing. I love stories that take place in the sea. If you guys want to recommend me any stories that like involve pirates and the sea and like traveling to distant lands, I really, really love that. I love that we are in an era of fantasy that's like magic and like dragons and like witches and vampires. But I want to see more pirates. Like, I want more sirens, more mermaids. Like, give me more of that. If you guys know any books that you've read that are really, really good that involve sirens or pirates or just traveling, like voyages on boats and like ships and stuff, please recommend them and drop them down below because I want to read them. I want more stories about pirates or sirens or whatever it is. I want more of those. More books that are definitely like Namesake and Fable. Those are really, really good. But yeah, I think that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to see you guys next time. I think the next time that I see you guys, I will be talking to you guys probably about the books that I'm going to read in the month of December. Who knows? I'll probably film that soon and post it soon. But yeah, that's probably the next time I'm going to talk to you. So thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys later. Bye.